a massive game in the Horseshoe. The Sooners are back in action, hoping to avoid a OU Texas hangover. We're back strong for week 8. Welcome to the weekend spread. Let's hit that music. Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread. I'm Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we've got Bowton Blake, Jameson Maxwell, and Ty Lee. And boys, what a week it was. Clowned upon, fooled upon last week. You know, that's what I would say if I was a less humble man. But I am a humble man. I will take my wins in stride. 8-2 last week. 3-0.
Until you take that free pepper.
3-0.
Nothing.
3-0. Hey, without the pickle, this might not have happened if I took that pickle.
Bobby is currently bankrupt, trying to flex on the gram.
I don't know about that, Ty. You're sitting in last at 37-42 after a 1-9. 1-9 last week, and the one was a push.
Zero debt to the pod.
All right. Well, regardless, welcome to the Weekend Spread. We've got a full slate of great picks for you. This is the Schooner Pods College Football Pick'em Show. We're going to be picking a selection of games from around the country and around the Big 12, and I genuinely can't wait for this. As always a fun highlight of our week. Look, among all of the shakeups, you know, I'm up to second now. Jameson staying in third. Ty's down to fourth. Bowton Blake remaining at first. The captain, nowhere near the poop deck the entire run. And I got to say, Blake, how does it feel? How are you feeling right now on top? And what did you think of last week of college football?
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. I just can't beat Ty. I'll take the 5-5 weeks. I'm not swinging for the fences like him. 0-9 with a push, which makes it the least impressive.
Earlier in the season.
Yeah, or I went 0-7. That's impressive because I at least was so fadeable that I was correct on every coin flip. You somehow flipped that coin, and the coin fell just directly, like vertical. That was your week. Not as impressive, not as cool. Yes, I am the man. The 0-7, the 10-0. Nobody's ever been able to do it in Weekend Spread history. But yeah, I'll take 5-5. College football is in a great place right now. It really is. Like, I'm getting excited for how the rest of the season's shaping up. I know we're kind of getting into the back half of things, but I feel like there's a good amount of good teams out there, but none great. When you're talking about the greats being Michigan that we saw lose to TCU last year, you know there could be some shakeups come the college football playoff. This is kind of one of those years, like you think about with the MLB or the NHL. If you make the playoffs, you have a chance. This year, I actually feel that for the sport that 1-4 can beat each other this year. And so it really is for some of these top level teams. It's like, just make the playoff and everything can go your way, even if you're the 4th seed.
Yeah. I mean, the parity has been wonderful in college football. I love it. Obviously, as a fan of a team that doesn't feel super dominant, that kind of broke into it. I'm pretty pumped about it with OU. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity. This back half of the season feels like expectations have shifted. So I'm certainly excited about it. I think college football looks as good as it has in a while, and adding the 12-team playoff is only going to make it better. This seems like a sport primed to expand that way. Letting you know, like the amount of madness that'll happen with that will just be awesome. But Jameson, I want to ask you, what did you think of last week's slate, last week's games? Any thoughts?
My only thoughts are within that pickle that you should be eating, and every single week we'll continue to bring it up. And
I'm gonna get to the pickle.
Yeah, you'll get there. It's like the South Park episode of, oh, when are the dragons coming? Oh, dragons! Oh, they're coming. They're coming.
It's called building anticipation, Jameson. It's what every good showman does.
No, the people want it now.
Well, no. Well, look, imagine how bad they'll want it like a week from now or 2 weeks from now.
No,
they might want it more.
No.
I'm going to keep teasing
no
that
one
pickle.
stopping you from doing a pickle every single week.
Well, I'm not going to do a weekly pickle. No, that's not happening. That
Well,
loses.
I think that people would like that.
Well, I'm
If
not.
you want to please the people.
If I have to please the people, I have to pick a pickle, a fruity pebble pickle. No, I'm out on that. I don't know.
I kind of want to just make one myself. It actually sounds good. We keep on talking like
That's
it's
it.
some bad thing. Kind of excited.
Look, I kind of want to do a football feast for it, but anyways, enough of the fruity pebble pickle.
Let's get to the lines.
Yeah. Let's just dive right on in. Again, standing check. Blake 42 and 35 at the top. I am 40 and 38. Finally broke 500. Jameson 37 and 40 after a 3-7 week last week, and Ty last at 37 and 42. But look, a lot of stuff can happen in the span of a week, and I am excited to dive into it. We've got some great lines, and we're starting with and just an awesome rivalry. It is the third weekend of October, and it's Tennessee, ranked 17th, 5-1 against the spread, 5-1 overall, 4-2 against the spread, heading to Tuscaloosa to face the 11th ranked Crimson Tide. Alabama, 6-1, 4-3 against the spread. The Tide favored by 9 in this one. You can find this one in the vaunted 7:30 Central spot on CBS. Look, the Vols looking for revenge, the Tide looking for revenge after the Vols took out the Tide, smoked cigars on their grave last year. Blake, as the leader in the clubhouse, you kick us off here. What do you think? Do you think Alabama, left for dead at one point, kind of bounced back? Do you think they have it against Josh Heupel and the Vols?
See, if this was any other Bama year, I'm going Bama immediately. I feel like the Nick Saban revenge factor is something that we've talked about a lot over the years we've been doing on this podcast. This man just does not seem to lose to a singular team more times than once. But this Bama team, I watched that Arkansas-Bama game. It has me concerned. They jumped to a sizable lead out of halftime and then just allowed Arkansas to slowly come back. And this game's just going to be gross. It's gross. I don't think Bama can move the ball very well at a consistent pace. I think the defense is still all right, but you can still run it on them. But you look at a Tennessee team, it's the Josh Heupel kind of air raid, not run and shoot, but it's the similar Bryles scheme that he runs, where it's true. It's a lot of passing. Joe Milton's not that guy. He's not that guy, pal. So I hate this, but I'm going to go Tennessee +9. Tennessee's defense has been actually pretty decent this year, although they haven't played too many great offenses. Too many points with this Bama team. They just can't seem to put teams away in a convincing manner. I don't think Arkansas is very good. They couldn't put away Arkansas. They were struggling to put away A&M, and I don't think A&M's that good. So it's just they can't blow out teams. So I'm going to take
A&M's not that good anymore, huh?
They are not. Max Johnson is not the man anymore.
Yeah.
That
team
has quit. That team has quit. So
what do you know? Toxic culture continues to be toxic.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, this is tricky because I actually do I like Alabama bouncing back and having a really strong performance here, especially after last year. But like Blake said, 9 just feels like a lot. I don't know if this Alabama team is the type of team that'll separate from you. They don't really have that explosion that, previous more recent teams really have. And I don't feel confident that Tennessee, I don't feel confident that they'll just blow out Tennessee, who, even though I'm kind of out on, 9 just feels like a little bit too much. I like the Vols to keep this one just a bit closer. This is a gnarly line. I hate it. If I were betting this on the open market, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it with a 10.5-foot pole. It's gross. I don't like it. But alas, it's one of the biggest games of the week. So I'm going to go with the Vols to keep it close, but they're not going to win this ball game. I truly don't think that.
I think just betting Alabama overall is just something that you should just fade because their offense can produce points. They can chug along the field, and get there. But I just don't want to rely on it. Tennessee's offense should get points in this game. And I think just a couple of touchdowns and maybe a field goal is good enough to cover the spread of 9 versus Alabama. I don't anticipate Alabama scoring, in the 30s. So if, 20, let's say it's 24-17, we're still covering for Tennessee, Alabama. I could see the 10-point hitting us hard and hurting, even though it looks like it's a close game, Alabama getting that 10-point cover, but I'm going to take Tennessee plus points here.
I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go on an island here for Alabama.
Ooh.
I like the 10 points. I am taking a bit of a gamble here. I think maybe if I weren't in last, I might be more inclined to go with Tennessee just for the points. But I like the revenge factor. I also don't expect Bama to score very many points, so I'm pretty concerned. 21-28 seems pretty likely, but I'll take a little gamble here. Give me the Tide.
I don't hate that as an island move. I really don't. I'm fading Alabama, but like I could see them winning this game by more than 10. I think that's possible. I just think the Vols keep it close. So I don't hate that pick, Ty. I don't hate that pick.
Honestly, the way you talked, Bobby, I had this like weird inkling that you originally wanted to pick Alabama, and then you were convinced, like during the show, that you'd to change. Am I wrong there in saying
I wasn't convinced by Blake. I was just like, I just too many points.
Because even whenever you were about to pick Tennessee, you almost said Tide.
There's a part of me that wants to pick the Tide, but I'm not. Like I think the 9 is too much.
Am I the only one catching up on these vibes?
No, look, you're not. I'm flat out admitting that I've been thinking Alabama like the entire week, and that 9 just it's scaring the crap out of me. I can't do it. Because I like them to bounce back and have a good performance, but I think this version of Alabama, like a good performance, would be beating Tennessee by 7. Like I think Vegas is still overhyping them. Just with how they play, just their play style and everything, it just isn't. They aren't the beat the absolute crap out of you Alabama team that we've seen in recent times. They'll win games close.
They can't throw the ball. Like that's the problem. It's like they can't throw the ball downfield. They're not going to put up points quick. So even if they're able to score, they just can't do it quickly, which keeps Tennessee in this game.
They just kind of grind you. I don't know. I don't like that line at all. I think Vegas has it wrong. This is one where it's like, I like Alabama. I don't like the line.
If Alabama does not complete the deep ball, they're screwed. That's the only way they move down the field. There's no intermediate game for them at all. And that's
because they can't even run really well either.
Targets. No,
right.
No, Jason McClellan's been disappointing for them. If they don't hit the deep ball, which I feel like they can versus teams like Arkansas, and they did a little bit versus A&M. But versus teams like Tennessee, it's not going to be as easy as it was versus Arkansas.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's move on to our next game. It's an ACC battle that, look, a couple weeks ago would have looked great, but with Riley Leonard possibly out, this one not looking tremendous. It's the 16th ranked Duke Blue Devils, 5-1 overall, 4-2 against the spread, traveling to Tallahassee to take on the number 4th ranked Florida State Seminoles, 6-0, 4-2 against the spread. The Noles favored by 14. This line slipped a little bit, opened at 15.5. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Yeah, I just want to preface this first by saying that I also should have been 5-5 last week, right? So roll the tapes, right? BYU, I said I know 100%. I think they're going to lose, but we're going to swing for the fences here, right? Maryland got screwed on that one by Jameson. Don't even
get me started on that one.
Jameson jinxed me in that one. Jameson with the jinx of a lifetime against West Virginia, who was covering with like 3 seconds left.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Screwed us all
like years ago. Years ago, and I forgot about that. That should have been opening up the show.
We'll talk about that when we get to West Virginia, please, because I will take all the heat there.
Anyways, I had some cold takes. I knew better on UCLA. Blah, blah, blah. What I'm going to say, though, is that this pick right here separates. The record does not tell who knows and does not know ball, right? We've had a lot of ball knower takes on the pod this year. I was telling Bobby this when he was just ripping on islands. I think Notre Dame is undefeated on islands on this podcast this year, but islands have got to be like 7-3-2 or something like that. Like islands have just been monsters statistically this year on this pod. So we have some people who know ball, is what I'm getting at. I know ball when I'm saying this. This pick will divide who knows ball and who does not know ball. Florida State is a paper tiger. Absolutely. At 100% paper tiger, resume built on beating people who should not be, considered quality wins in football this year. LSU, for example, Clemson, for example. Duke, also a paper tiger, but a much smaller one, and it's wet paper. No one should pick Duke in this. Give me the Seminoles, minus 14, easy. They are not good. The wheels are going to fall off, but I don't think it's this week. I think they drop a game to like Pitt would be so classic, but give me the Seminoles in this one. I think they embarrass Duke, and people realize what Duke is, a fraud, and drop them out of the rankings.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Ty's picks are always my favorite because you talk, a bunch of crap on both teams. And I'm like, I wonder who's going to pick. They're both paper tigers, but I guess Florida State's just the better one. Okay.
Florida State is a paper tiger within the context of like, they're a top 4, like they're in a playoff spot right now. I understand those rankings haven't come out, but like compared to everyone else that would be going to the playoffs, Duke is a paper tiger compared to ranked teams. Duke should not be ranked. There's different tiers of it. We're talking about Florida State versus like a legitimate number 16-ish team. I don't know, someone like Penn State. Then yeah, there may be a bit of a, less of a paper tiger. But this is a team that should be unranked.
One's a tissue.
Later.
One's a tissue paper tiger and one's a construction paper tiger.
I'm going to pick Duke straight up. Not straight up to win, but I'm picking Duke.
No. And straight up. Words have meanings.
No. And I understand that there's a little bit of apprehension from people. And I understand Florida State. I really like Florida State as a football team. Keon Coleman is probably number 2 or 3, my favorite wide receiver in college football. He is that good. He will be that dude that we'll be talking about. So what is he right now, Blake? Help me out on his year. Will he go to the NFL draft next year?
I think so. I think he's a junior.
He's a junior, he is a junior now that I think about it with his class. So I guess he could go into the league this year. Whatever it is, if I'm an NFL team, I'm looking at Keon Coleman as a first-round draft pick. He's just that special. Just Jordan Travis really hasn't blown me away too much, to be honest. And Florida State, I feel like, has toyed with teams. I feel like Duke, people aren't really talking about a lot. And really what it comes down to is people are unsure about Riley Leonard. And it's been 3 weeks since his injury, and it was a high ankle mechanism. So they're saying he's questionable for this game. It could go either way. The average return time for a high ankle is 3 weeks. So he's right in that timetable. College players do get, I'm using this kind of like average length based off NFL data. So NFL players typically return a little bit quicker than college, but I just like the way Duke plays the ball. They're gritty. I like their defense, and I think that they can make things pretty scrappy here. And give me just the odds right now that Riley Leonard could play. So I'm going to go plus 14 for Duke.
Yeah, I will say I did, after saying he's out, I did do a little research after the fact because that's the smartest way to do that. And Mike Elko, he's still out, but like Elko is kind of like optimistic about him, so he might play. But my thing is, this is such a tough environment to just walk into. I feel like Duke at their best is at home when they're, when they have that crowd behind them, when they're in their zone. I can't think of a time Duke has looked good on the road. I can't think of a time I've ever really remembered Duke on the road. This Florida State environment is next level in Tallahassee. The Noles have things clicking right now. Keon Coleman looks like a Bolitnikoff winner in my eyes. I think I can't think of a receiver who's better right now. And I don't know. I feel like if this was on the road, I could see Florida State in a massive letdown. But at night, with everything going with the tomahawk chop and all that, like I just don't see the Noles letting down in this position. I like 14, 15 and a half. It gave me pause, but I feel strong about at least a 2-touchdown victory here for the Seminoles.
Yep, I'm telling you, Bobby, this is. I read into that Mike Elko stuff a little bit differently. Although he says he's day to day, they could put him in, put him out. He also said that they're not going to put him at risk that ankle injury gets worse and he's out for the season. And I think that's the main thing with Duke. If you look at the remainder of the schedule, if he's back next week versus Louisville, they have a chance to make the ACC championship if they could run the board. Louisville's very beatable, and then your only other obstacle is UNC. I think if it's a 50-50 shot whether he can go, they keep him out just because there's no point. Duke is nothing without Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard is their team. It's the only reason why they are at this elite stage. I know they have a good defense. I know they have smart coaching, but it doesn't get anywhere without him. I don't trust the backup. I'm going to take Florida State 14. I'm just hoping Riley Leonard doesn't play. I bet if he's on the fence, I bet he does not. It doesn't make any sense. Don't run him out there if you could still make the ACC championship and beat Florida State once again whenever he's healthy. So I'm going the not Blue Devils. I'm going the Seminoles.
It's just this 3-week recovery thing. I mean, like, he's there. It's not like he's coming back. You know, Patrick Mahomes took 0 weeks off and played on a high ankle throughout all of the playoffs last year. Like, it's not the same re-injury risk as, like, you know, a lower ankle kind of thing. So I think that there's a decent, like, in terms of, yes, I understand reading in between the lines. Maybe he's just playing around and just trying to get Florida State ready for it. And they really, truly are taking care of him and letting it go for a little bit longer. But at the same time, I'm just going to take that bet.
Yeah, but my thing is, like, even if he comes back, I feel like he'll be rusty, and that's just a really tough environment for him to just jump back into. I see where you're coming from.
It's a tough pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like for sure on it, you know, like I'm not like saying like, oh, y'all are stupid for leaving me on this island picking Duke. But
I get it.
I'm just taking a calculated risk here because if Riley Leonard gets like called in, it's going to turn to like 12 and a half.
If you swap the venue or if this is a neutral site, I'd probably be on Duke. So
it'd probably be like 10 and a half. 10.
Yeah, the line wouldn't be that. Yeah, it wouldn't be FSU minus 14 if it was a different location. But
interesting thing though,
I'm riding with it.
Like for y'all talking about Keon Coleman, just quickly, if you had to rank the best wide receivers, like top 3 in terms of just like talent, because like Keon Coleman, I'm talking about talent here. Would you put Marvin Harrison above Keon Coleman?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I had. Marvin Harrison is number 1 ahead of him. Then you start talking like, what about Rome Odunze for like Washington?
I think he's had just almost as good of a year, but still maybe a little less talented.
I think the biggest thing about Coleman is he elevates this team differently than like Marvin Harrison or Rome does.
Marvin Harrison's had a disappointing season, I think, in my opinion.
And I'm not knocking Harrison. I just think he plays in a better system than Coleman or Rome out in Washington. I think, I don't know. Anyways, I think that's a good question, though. I think it'll be an interesting Biletnikoff race, to say the least. I just think Coleman has made such an impact on taking this Florida State team up to a different level. And it's been a long time since we've seen a receiver just inject that much life into an offense, I think. But
I think he's the top. I think he's the only top 3-4 receiver who you would see a significant decrease in production from their team if you took them out. You know, not to discredit the other guys. Like you would see, you know, Washington, I'm sure there'd be some drop. Ohio State, there'd be some drop, but I don't think it would
Ohio
be
State. I think Ohio State just has a stable of forces behind them that are just wide receivers.
To just plug another one in. Yeah, I'm right with you, Kai. I think you're dead on. You're dead on there. All right, let's move on to our next ball game. We've got the 14th ranked Utah Utes, 5-1, 3-3 against the spread, heading to the Coliseum to take on the 18th ranked USC Trojans, 6-1 after an absolute beat down in South Bend, 2-5 against the spread. Look, who could have predicted that? I don't know. I don't know who could have called that, but
hater Bobby's coming out.
I don't know who could have called that. Who could have called that?
Who could have? Is the worst combination.
Who could have called Caleb Williams and that USC team completely falling apart on the road?
Did you say Caleb Williams going to throw 3 interceptions though? Like,
Well, I wasn't giving a dead-on pick. I said he was worse on the road, and he was significantly worse on the road.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
right. Caleb Williams had plenty of picks. You didn't need to have that.
I would say congratulations on picking the spread right with Notre Dame and picking them to win. But the whole like Caleb Williams not playing the way he did, no one saw that coming.
I didn't say he'd play that bad. I just said he usually plays kind of poorly on the road. I would not have seen that coming. I'm hand up. I didn't predict that. I did think he would look not that great. He wouldn't look like Superman because he's just not that. He's not as good on the road. He's not the same player on the road. And look, if anything, Saturday showed us he's really not that great on the road. Because he was completely rattled. So anyways, look, the Trojans try to turn it around though at home in the Coliseum, favored by 7. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on Fox. Blake, kick us off here. Do you think the Trojans bounce back at home?
I do. I'm a fool. I am a fool. I've seen this recipe before. USC looking great, even though not last week looking great, but USC being good runs into Utah. Utah is the antithesis. They hit you in the mouth. They play tough football. They'll grind you down and they will beat you down. But this Utah team stinks. I am so done with them. I'm done with their fans. Bobby sent the interaction earlier this week that they want to move the Big 12 basketball championship over to Las Vegas, which makes absolutely no sense when most of your conference occupies Middle America and also the coast, which would make sense to fly into the middle of the country. But I digress. I am such a Utah hater. I am the biggest Utah hater after going and seeing them at that Baylor game with all the rose tattoos I saw. A team just putting all these tattoos on their body for games they did not win. They are the participation trophy culture that we all hate in society. They truly are, because if they get there, they're excited about it, but they don't care about actually winning those games. Like I said this early in the season, it's like me getting a ginormous national championship trophy down my arm. It makes no sense. We made the game, yes, but we got beat badly and it's embarrassing. I just gotta believe this USC team's bounce back. Like Utah last year scares me because they have weapons at tight end. They have Cam Rising. Cam Rising, I don't even know is going to play this year. The dude they keep on doing, they keep on tugging him around. He's not playing. Like I thought he would have already been here by now. They keep on, they were teasing it the first 3 weeks. And so that makes me think he's not coming back till at least the very end of the season. Nate Johnson, Bryson Barnes, those guys, when you have the dual quarterback system, just doesn't impress me at all. They can't move the ball. So it's like, this is Notre Dame, like, dumbed down to its finest. That like Notre Dame at least was able to move the ball. Utah can't move the ball. So like they can only rely on the defense. I think USC breaks through this week. They have to. And 7's just too easy. So give me the Trojans.
Yeah, this lot. Go ahead, Ty. You got it.
Didn't TCU put a sign in their stadium for?
No, we said
fair.
No, we said playoff. Like, we made the playoff for that year. Like, similar to how basketball teams do a Final Four banner. Like, every basketball team in America, even Kentucky, Kansas, you put Final Four banners up whenever there is a playoff bracket. Same reason with baseball. In baseball, you do College World Series. Like,
in baseball.
No, I'll ride with this one. I'm actually on Blake's side here. I think you should recognize college football playoff appearances,
especially in a 4 team. It's not even a 12 team yet. It's like literally you were a top 4 team and won a game. It's not like we said like college football like finalist or whatever. It just said like college football playoff like 20 whatever. I have no issue with it. It's no issue. Like if OU, I don't know if they would have done it because y'all have so many national championships, but like any other team our size or maybe even a little bit bigger would have done the same. Easy. Like
OU doesn't do it, and I kind of wish they would. I'll put it that way. I know that's a really unpopular take among OU fans.
Where would they put it, Bobby?
They'd find a way. Look, we have a sign for All-Americans and bowl championships.
All-Americans won, though. We don't have a sign for people who were considered.
Well, no, I mean, but you still made the playoff. Yeah. Like, yeah, you still.
Yeah, but that's like saying like you still made the Heisman ceremony. Let's put a statue.
I feel like it just clutters and takes away from your national championship numbers. Just like keep it clean.
I mean, you can put it somewhere, but I think it's more impressive than your.
Put
it's
in
more impressive.
Put in the facility, the training center or something.
I'm way more proud of OU's playoff appearances than I am of their bowl wins. That against I'm way more proud of making it to the Peach Bowl and losing to LSU than I am of beating Oregon in the Alamo Bowl. Because one season matters way more to me than that. I think making the playoff is important.
And you also have to remember, we are a school of less than 100,000 living alumni. Like, we are tiny as hell. And so, you have to celebrate those things when they happen. It's like it's always the OU and Texas fans that come down from their perch. So, why are you celebrating? I'm like, y'all have had everything ever, throughout history. I'm like, we are.
Don't lump us with Texas.
Okay. If you want to roast TCU for anything on their stadium, it's that the other side of their stadium has every single bowl they've been in. We were in the Blue Bonnet Bowl. Wow, look at us go! Look at all these.
Well, that's exactly. But how is that any different than the Rose Bowl thing?
No, because it's just kind of dumb.
We're filling up space. It's like if we had more things. It's funny because it has all the logos just around everywhere, and I love it. I love to get to see all the different old bold logos, and it's very nice. It's very nice.
It's like your stadium is like one of those vans with all the stickers on the back, I don't know, like
never
a canteen. Like a canteen where you're just putting random items from where you've been.
We have to. What do you want? Do you want every other stadium that's not OU, Nebraska, Texas, Ohio State, those just to be barren? We
don't fill up every available space with just stuff.
Yeah. TCU has more stuff in their stadium than OU does.
Just put a bunch of purple squiggles or something. I don't know, man.
That's actually pretty cool. I think you're onto something here, Bobby.
Yeah.
Bunch of frogs. I don't know. Could be fun.
It would be cooler if you guys just had all the different helmets and stuff that you had, giant murals of those. That'd be sick.
Oh, like a history of TCU's logos. Oh, that would be cool.
That'd be actually
really
cool. I would be down for that.
Isn't that better than noting that you were in the Blue Bonnet Bowl in 1964 or something?
But the problem is some of the retro logos we do not know the rights for. So that's why we can't use the flying T.
TCU also.
How do you not own the rights to your own logos?
Because people back in the 60s would be like, oh, you can use it. And then whenever retro merchandise became popular, TCU used to be a commuter school, way back in the day. It was community college level. So it's we did not.
We'll say there was one point, I can't remember when. We are so sidebarring, and I apologize to our audience. There was one point where we were talking about who should have gotten into the Big 12, and I was like, Houston had that or had the Phi Slamma Jamma. You're like, that was so long ago in the 90s. TCU at that time was recently serving a self-imposed bowl ban because they did all the stuff SMU did, but they just tattled on themselves.
No one cared.
Okay,
no one cared.
Bobby, you cannot defend this at the end of the day with Houston when we see the $1 tickets every single game.
Oh, well, they're horrible now.
To say that it would be way better, you were so wrong because it would have been way better with Houston. I want to get rid of Houston. It's and then the SMU people are like, you should have brought us in. No, you're the exact same problem, just on a smaller scale. I don't get it. I don't get it why we brought in Houston.
Okay. I'm sorry, Blake. I cut you off.
Boise State. Why not?
No. Academics, Blake. Academics.
I don't care. You're moving to the conference that does not care about academics besides one school that they use as the anchor, which is ironic
Colorado?
that their thing is anchor down. SEC.
SEC.
Yeah,
SEC. Fair enough.
Auburn has a 90% acceptance rate, and I'm not kidding. I think they are at 85 or 90%. It's one of the highest in the nation.
All right, we're going off on a tangent. I'm seeing those viewer numbers drop, so we need to keep moving on with the slate. Okay, so here's the thing. As much as I would love to completely continue to hate on USC, continue to trash on them, just like Caleb Williams isn't the same on the road, neither is this Utah team. They just don't look quite as potent. If this game was at Rice Eccles, I'd think differently, but Lincoln Riley teams usually bounce back after disappointments. And I think that's what they're going to do. And besides, as Lincoln told us, the entire week, they're really close, Jameson. They're this close. They're really close. You might think they're far away, but they're close. And
it's the
they're
same
close.
old story. Just it's like I've heard it before. Man, goodness gracious. All right. I mean, like, you can only think of so many synonyms, Bobby. So we like to make fun of him, but the poor guy's just dealing with the same thing over and over because, sorry, you is what you is. So let's
just trying
talk
to join
about
the Chargers at this point.
Oh God. I mean, I can actually see that happening.
Alex Grinch, Chargers defensive coordinator. I'm just saying.
Oh no. Okay, all right. Don't bring Chargers up. I'm already I'm trying to recover from the absolute misery that my football team is turning into right now. And yes, Blake, I understand Cowboys beat us, but we both are in misery right now.
That game sucked. That game sucked. It was one of those that I was up in Plano at a friend's place, and we were just all like, please just end this game. I want to go home. It's so many penalties, so many game stoppages.
So
we'll never make it. It was horrible. I hated it. I hated
the
game.
So let me get back on track and give me some Trojans because I'm going to pick SC here. And Utah, I just don't like the vibes around this football team right now. I really don't. The Athletic came out with a really good article interviewing big-time orthopedic surgeon who did the surgery for Camp Rising, Dr. Elatrash. And it's just seems like it has to be a puff piece because obviously there's something going on right now with his recovery because everyone's expecting you to come back very quickly off ACL injuries. So they keep on pushing it right now because they know that the vibe right now around this Utah football team isn't really optimistic. So they keep on putting it every single week. Oh, Cam Rising come back. Cam Rising come back. Whenever they know they're going to take their time, and they're even talking about medical redshirting him. I don't like the vibes around this Utah team. I don't like them going on the road to USC. USC should bounce back. Give me USC -7.
Here's what you guys need to know about this USC team, right? Again, I'm not trying to back justify. I made the wrong call. I should have known that Notre Dame was going to beat them. USC, they're completely reliant on Caleb Williams. This is the beautiful thing about OU this year is we've built a team that's not completely reliant around a single star quarterback. USC has a single point of failure, and then also the defense that just always fails because they have Alex Grinch. What you need to know is USC, Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions. And what happens for all 3 of those interceptions? What did he have right in front of him when he threw those interceptions? That's right, the touchdown Jesus mural. Now, I'm not going to share my screen, but if you're listening or listening along, reference the touchdown Jesus mural. We're not talking about Jesus here. There are a bunch of other little depictions of people in that mural. If you look at the bottom, what are they all wearing? They're all wearing sandals, right? Caleb Williams, dozens of feet in front of him. He was distracted. He's not going to have that at Utah, or he's not going to have that at USC. I'm not joking. Look at the mirror. The math checks out, right? Because then when he started driving away from it, right? No more interceptions. Coincidence? I don't know, but
please tell me that's confirmed because weren't all of his 3
We gotta clip that. We gotta clip
I
that.
was furiously trying to do my research here.
We gotta clip that. That's so good.
USC, I think you're a fool to pick them. I must be an Arizona State student. Give me USC -7.
All right, sweet for the Trojans here in this game. Let's move on to our next one. Probably the biggest game of the week. It's the 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, 6-0, 6-0 overall, and I have them 6-0 against the spread, but we know that's incorrect of you for weekend spread terms. They're 5-1. They're heading to the Horseshoe to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes, ranked 3rd in the country, 6-0 and 3-3 against spread. The Ohio State University is favored by 4.5. You can find this one big noon kickoff, big noon Saturday, 11 a.m. Central on Fox. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
Hear me out. First off, we always talk about I hate this line. I love this line. I love this line because I feel like it is such an odd one. 4.5. It's got the hook. It doesn't let you get a last-second field goal. If it goes to overtime, you're probably screwed. I absolutely love this 4.5 line in this one. All that being said, you're never going to catch me being high on Penn State. I think they are fraudulent this year, as they always are. They have a massive alumni and viewer base. The media has to basically, pander to them and be like, "Oh, you're so good. You're so good. If they were legitimately good, they'd be in the top 4 because of how massive Penn State has the largest living alumni base. Blake just talked about, TCU's living alumni base. Penn State, not joking, has the largest living alumni base in the entire United States. Their student body population is absurd. They love football up there. They're getting pandered to. Ohio State, they're not what you would traditionally think of as Ohio State. I don't think they're super, super tremendous, but what they've done this year so far cannot be discounted. Also, James Franklin, abysmal against good conference opponents. He is not good. I think Ohio State is good for 7. I think it might be a pretty decent game throughout, but I don't think it's going to be going back and forth. Give me the Buckeyes minus 450.
Oh, I've been really struggling with this one because I really like this Penn State team. I really do. It's just going into the shoe, it's going to be just so tough for them. I feel like to get this big win this season, I really wish that the schedule was flipped. This Michigan home game, also a big noon. What a shame, Fox, that y'all are doing that and taking away a Penn State versus Michigan and not making it a night game. But
because that's the only spot they occupy. That's literally the only primetime spot they occupy. And
it's so horrible.
It's horrible. It's a horrible business practice.
They put games at 7 p.m. on Fox, though. Like, we literally saw one. Our previous pick was Utah USC.
Yeah, but their whole business model is to put their best game in the time where no other good games are.
Blake is just eating out of the hand of the Fox here. He's just like, Mr. Fox, yes, please, sir.
If you knew, Bobby, that both are the enemy, then you would win this war. But for some reason, you're always siding with one of them.
I'm siding with the ones that want to put my games at night. They're both horrible, but one actually cares.
Oh, that's some sheep feed right there.
Big 12 on Tubi. Big 12 on Tubi.
He's like, as long as I'm satisfied, then I am good. He's not fighting a real war like me. We're not out here fighting.
Look, one of these conferences, one of these, TV networks definitely killed like the Pac-12, and it was Fox. Fox is the reason the Pac-12 is dead. Clearly,
this is true.
But who pushed the first domino, Bobby?
Yeah, but who decided to randomly add USC and UCLA to the Big Ten?
Bobby.
See, what happens is Bobby right here, Bobby's a tea drinker in the late 1700s in Boston. And he's like, look, all I'm saying is the British didn't throw my tea in the water.
No.
The British didn't throw my tea in the water. It was fine when the British were ripping me off for my tea.
Well,
we're fighting the real war out here. Shield up, baby. Left hand up, shield up.
Have fun with them 11 a.m. kickoffs, my boy.
Jameson, I'm sorry. This is what I'm saying.
Jameson, I'm sorry to derail this. What?
No, I love this. It's just so hard for me because I feel like if you would have like shifted this game to be a home game and the Michigan game to be an away game, I'd feel like better about the first game of those two. Michigan and Ohio State being a home game with the momentum of the way they started the season, they can get a W. I think just going into the shoe is just going to be so hard. And it's going to be a really, really close game. And I've really flip-flopped on this. I think Ohio State gets a last-second cover at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with both of y'all. I think this game is going to be really, really good. But I got to go with the Bucks on this one. James Franklin does not know how to win big games overall. He doesn't know how to win big games on the road. This Penn State team, if you look at their previous wins and just overall in the series, I believe their last win in Columbus was in 2011 when Ohio State was hot garbage. And before that, when it was actually a 1v1, Joe Paterno was coaching the Nittany Lions. So it's just a total. This team doesn't know how to win big games on the road. Flat out, end of story. Give me Ohio State minus 4.5. I want them to lose. I would love to see parity. I would love to see Penn State kind of make a run here and, disrupt the status quo. But facts are facts. And Kyle McCord and that Ohio State team is just going to be too comfortable at home. I think they get the win. They get this cover. I think it's going to be a great ball game. 4.5 feels like a pretty solid place to put this. But I think Ohio State just ultimately is going to be too much for Penn State.
I think Ohio State's a whole bunch of bums. I don't think Kyle McCord has it in him. I don't think this defense can, I think James Franklin's been hearing in his ear all week long that they don't throw the deep ball. They don't play explosive enough. I think this is Penn State's ball game. I think Penn State wins this one outright. I've been saying it all year. I've been saying it in the preseason. I feel so good about this Penn State team. A fantastic defense. Fantastic. And the thing that makes me even feel even better is that Notre Dame has a good defense. I think worse than Penn State. Went up against Ohio State. They had to play Marvin Harrison. They had to play Emeka Egbuka. And we're still able to limit them. I don't think Emeka Egbuka plays this week. I think it's Marvin Harrison Jr. game. I think they scheme him out of this game, and I think it makes it a pretty even playing field at that. I'm not impressed by Kyle McCord. I am not at all. I know they've been pumping some bad teams. So is Penn State. I've always been a Drew Lar guy. I always have. I think that defense is better on their side, and then I think the running game, Penn State finally comes through. I think this one's close, but I love Penn State outright. And just personally for me cheering for I want these three teams at the top of the Big Ten to beat up on each other to make people really squirm when it comes college football playoff time, when it comes all that jazz, even making the Big Ten championship. So I want Penn State. Give me Penn State. Want it so bad. This defense is so good. They are so good. I know James Franklin hasn't done it before, but this defense is special. So give me Penn State.
I think the real squirm will have to be if Penn State beats Michigan. I think that's where we're.
The
squirm
would be if Penn State beats Ohio State, Michigan beats Penn State, and Ohio State beats Michigan.
That's
right. Well, no, but. Yeah. If every home team wins in all of those games, it would be Ohio State beating Penn State beating Michigan, and Michigan beating Ohio State.
Beats Michigan, though.
That's how you create the perfect,
the significantly elevated Penn State. Like they are built the same, but have basically significantly better players on every single position.
What my take is, I just don't think Penn State beating Ohio State is going to change much, because I really do think that it's Michigan is the team that needs to get a loss for things to get squirmy.
Oh yeah,
I just don't know if Ohio State.
That's the big kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Michigan losing to Ohio State at home. I just don't. With what we've seen the past 2 years, I just don't. But let's move on to our next ball game. We're into Big 12 play. We've got the Oklahoma State Cowboys resurgent back to life, 4-2, 3-3 against the spread, heading to Morgantown to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. 4-2 as well, 4-2 against the spread after a brutal defeat at the last second, craziest ending you've ever seen defeat to the Houston Cougars in Hideki Stadium. Look, Mountaineers favored by Tree Fitty here. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. Blake, kick us off here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, this one's hard, and tip of the cap. I know the other guys will get to it, but tip of the cap to Jameson. Thank you so much for making me go 5-5 last week.
Horrible,
easily
horrible,
been a
horrible.
Jameson, just tell the whole story.
You couldn't have just shut your mouth.
Tell the story,
excited.
Bobby.
Ty is in hell right now because we
tell his own story.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Sure. Yeah, Jameson, tell the people what you did.
I was really excited at the before the Hail Mary, whenever West Virginia got the touchdown with what was it, like 12 seconds left. I got a little bit out of hand, and I made some comments about the Houston head coach that I would eat his tears. and then one thing led to another. And I also said this in all caps, which makes it worse. And then
what was the next text?
I think I said shit.
Like shit, I'm so sorry or something. I'm going to bed.
No. Oh my god. Yeah, so Jameson, ultimate jinx there.
Yeah, sorry, Dana.
Well, he's not sorry. Apparently, he was the one eating your tears. So,
Yes,
anyways.
he definitely did.
But
I take full responsibility for everything I've done.
The one person on this pod definitely not crying was Blake, who picked the Cougars there.
It was so great. Yeah, and I was even at dinner during the time, so I didn't get to see it live. So I just see, before I even check the final score, I just see Jameson going nuts and then just saying, like, I'm sorry, guys. And then I go to the box score, and I'm like, oh, Houston won. How'd they win? And I checked that condensed game replay, and I was like, oh, dear God. I'm like, Jameson, the ultimate jinx.
I gave up on the game and was watching Loki at that point, man. So I also kind of caught it. I'm like, what in the world happened?
People need to catch up with the Hail Mary. Like, people are trailing the whole time because everyone's just waiting for the swat. Like, that needs to be schemed against on defense. People need to legitimately guard the people that are looking for the swat. That needs to be a new part of the offense. I mean, the defense.
Hey, Jameson, remember that Hail Mary at the end of OU Texas? That was a swat
I was
too.
worried.
And I'm saying
they were waiting for it too.
Our colleague go ahead, Ty. You got it.
No, I was going to say, when the field condenses down, though, it's sort of a different. Like, Texas didn't have the depth to do what happened to West Virginia. You know,
but you gotta get it down quick, or like you gotta
go straight down.
Straight down, or like you hit it so far back that it goes into the stands.
No, you got to start hitting it backwards. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Away. Yeah. And our colleague at Solid Crowd, kind of colleague, Gear and Emig actually wrote an article about how they need to reset and you need to rethink the Hail Mary. So make sure to check that out.
Didn't even know that. Well,
it just dropped. Just dropped today. It's very good.
I think there needs to be a fair catch rule.
Oh my God, get out of here. He's turning into Jeff Van Gundy up here.
Ty Van Gundy up here. We're just, the people are like, please, I just want to know who you like in the ball game.
All right, get us back on track, because this is like an hour and 50 minutes.
I can't wait for you to segment these ones. So like, you're talking about every other team besides the actual game that's being played on the field. But this is...
Wait, Blake hasn't even picked yet?
This sucks. It's like
he hasn't.
I have not picked this game because I look at it, I'm like, OSU, like bad at the beginning of the season, but kind of resurgent. But then also against Kansas, West Virginia. I trust the climb. Trust the climb with Neil Brown. We're going to the mountain, baby. I think they're still good. They were about to win. They were about to be 5-1 coming into this game. I'm not going to let some fluke Jameson jinx ruin that for me. I trust it. I just, this Oklahoma State team, it just doesn't make sense. If, like, honestly, if they go 10-2 and 9-3, you fire Gundy, because how did you lose those, like, beginning of the season games if your team's that good? I just can't believe this team is actually performing. So give me West Virginia. This feels like two sides of the same coin type of teams. And I just think West Virginia is the better one.
This, Blake, you're exactly right. This is a really tough game, and I am struggling with it because I do think Oklahoma State is bouncing back, but I feel like, the resurgence happening, in Boone Pickens, really energized crowds. I had said, before the K-State game that they'd kind of given up. I was totally wrong. These people are going nuts for OSU. First time they've sold out their stadium in God knows how long for the remainder of the season. So they're behind their Cowboys, and I'll give them that. But they're on the road. They're very far away in a place that they actually haven't struggled with very much. Their last loss in Morgantown was 2013. But I'll say this. I believe in what Neil Brown and West Virginia is doing more than I believe in this weird last gasp kind of panic. Mike Gundy is like, like a wounded dog or something. You get him in the corner, you think he's done, and he finds his way to wiggle his way out. You just can't kill Mike Gundy.
I think he's out a dog, and he's got something in his mouth, and he can.
He's got that contract in his mouth, and he wants to keep getting extensions. Yeah, so Gundy ain't getting fired. So now that he has a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of wiggle room, I don't know. I'm going with West Virginia here. I believe in their progress and their restoration more than OSU's. So Mountaineers -3.5 here.
Y'all are fooled by the 3.5 point line, and that's why you feel nervous. I am not fooled by this. West Virginia is my favorite pick of this week. I am not buying this Oklahoma State recent little hype train from the past 2 weeks. Like you said, Bobby, that was at home. They're in their comfort zone. Let's get uncomfortable, okay, Oklahoma State? Let's see some things happen where, you get pushed on the road whenever there isn't a back and forth and you have your fans to lean back on. West Virginia is a quality football team, and they should have won that game versus Houston. They would have covered that game as well. It's a huge, huge bummer, and give me West Virginia, easiest pick of the week. This is not going to jinx.
Yeah, here's my thing.
And that is what you call, the scorched earth that I just did to Bobby and Blake. So feel free to island that tie.
Hey, by the way, our guy Timothy in the chat, he's the guy. Why can't I point right? Jameson's the guy who screwed it up. Jameson screwed up last week. Blame Jameson, Timothy.
If he was not here, it was this guy.
Yeah.
Look, I've been very high on West Virginia all year, and I think the other side of this coin is and it's a very important data point, right? But if you exclude the one sort of outlying data point, if you just eliminate that South Alabama game from your mind, when you look at Oklahoma State season to date, I don't think that they're that far outside of, my expectations for sort of what they would be. Yeah, they dropped one to Iowa State, but even Kansas, where Kansas was maybe supposed to be favored, I had Kansas in that one. But I'm saying, I'm not seeing, I don't think Oklahoma State, I understand that, there's some disappointing stuff going on in that program, but I don't know that they've actually had a resurgence is what I'm getting at, because I think that everyone's idea that it's been a resurgence is just skewed by that abysmal loss to South Alabama, where everyone was like, oh my God, yes, quality loss to South Alabama. Everyone was like, oh no, this team is done. And then that was just sort of an outlier. I am also going to ride with West Virginia because, speaking of outliers, that game last week was an outlier. I think if you played that one 10 times, West Virginia covers 8 of those times. They probably lose 1, and we witnessed one of those outliers there. So I am very, very comfortable riding with the Mountaineers, even with the Jameson jinx here. Because one thing I know is Jameson does not know Oklahoma State. Jameson, I think, still thinks that Oklahoma State is running a quarterback by committee, which he's been saying for the past couple of weeks.
Of course. But it sounds exactly like what I've been talking about.
But in Jameson's defense, would anyone be really that surprised if Gundy was like, "Oh, here's Garrett Rangel, have fun"? Just throw him out there.
He's like Gunnar Gundy could have won us, but the game by 14 last week. Let's just throw him out there.
Speaking of, has Alan Bowman ever firmly been QB1? Because if I remember right, even when he was at Tech, it was like a committee.
He just gets injured, but he's been QB1
when he
gets
Lung,
injured.
He was doing really good at Tech.
Yeah, he had a solid career attack.
Yeah,
probably the best Tech quarterback.
That's the Tech paradox. Is every quarterback at Tech, but they're really not that good. That's the thing. I'm like, you're like, oh, that guy's a good QB, but they never win games at Tech. I know we're jumping into whenever Tech's game is coming up, but that's the thing. I'm like, Baker Mayfield's the only one that's ever been able to break the paradox. The rest of them were like, oh, Donovan Smith down in Houston. You're
missing a big one. I think Mahomes is pretty solid. But
he never won. That's the thing.
He won the Heisman and the Big 12 and the national championship.
That's what everybody's convinced. Every Tech quarterback is somehow good that comes from that program. And just when you realize it's a decent offensive system that doesn't put up horrendous numbers. They're not that good of quarterbacks like Bowman, Shuck, the Houston quarterback. I just said Donovan Smith. It's all the same. It's one song. It's Grateful Dead, the same song all the way through. That's a Tech quarterback. They're all the same. They're picking from the most mid.
Attacking the podcast.
Just after. Yeah, well,
Tech quarterbacks are all one song. They always have two that are average.
Blake attacked him. Thankfully, Blake attacked a fan base that clearly doesn't care about the band that much. The Grateful Dead fans, notoriously not interested in their band. Not devoted at all.
Just one big song. That's all Texas Tech quarterbacks are.
You
They're
know,
all the
speaking
same.
of, you can swap the graphic, Bobby, since we've been talking about Tech for a few minutes.
all the same.
I have been very high on BYU. I have been burned by this BYU team many, many times this year. I've also been burned by this Tech team many, many times this year. But here's one thing I know about Tech, just like Blake is saying. They never actually produce anyone legitimate. They've got one dude who didn't really do anything at Tech, and now he's working on a group project, and he's just the one that gets to present, and everyone thinks he did all the work. And of course, I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes here. Unbelievable system quarterback. Although, Patrick, don't be mad. Please come to the Cowboys. Travis Kelce, please come to the Cowboys and be a quarterback. Travis Kelce's girlfriend, come to the Cowboys and be the quarterback. Anyone but Zach. He looked like he was Caleb Williams staring at the touchdown Jesus feet. Give me the Red Raiders.
Texas Tech, by the way, for people listening, at BYU, Texas Tech minus 4.5 point favorite.
Right. 3-4 overall, 3-4 against the spread. BYU 4-2. 2-4 against the spread.
So you got the Red Raiders, Ty?
I do, yes.
All right. So you have anything else, or can I go in on this?
No, I have no ball, not nowhere takes. This is completely.
Okay. I feel like you could have had something on BYU after they completely boned you last week.
No, I was sowing the seeds. I was laying the prompts that I was hoping Blake would maybe pick up on here in a second.
Fair.
Here's my thought process on this. Texas Tech. I hate to say it, but Baron Morton is legitimately the key to this game because Jake Strong.
Stop it!
I hate to say it.
Another sheep, another one.
No. Like, I have not been a believer in Baron Morton. I've been that way for a while now. But Jake Strong, I watched that game the majority of the second half whenever he had to come in for I think it was third string at that point.
They're all the same guy.
No, he's not. No, because Jake Strong is bad. He's a bad. No, I do not like this one bit because I don't see him going on the road and doing anything versus BYU. I really, really don't. And I understand, Blake, you've got your propaganda versus Texas Tech. It's like one of your
propaganda. It's all Jake Strong, Donovan Smith, Baron Morton, Tyler Shuck, Henry Columby. Oh, remember him?
Columby. Oh, man.
Yeah, Henry Columby was there. Let's go
What's
down
he
to
doing
2010.
nowadays?
Alan Bowman, just decent. Oh, Jet Duffy, remember him? Like
Jet
he
Duffy.
didn't even get picked up. It's all the same guy. They all produce the same across all these years of Texas.
Henry Columby's at Marshall right now.
Oh, that Marshall's got a big game this weekend.
Which is so funny. Yeah. I scrolled through their.
No, I think he graduated. I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, he was at Marshall last year.
There's something in that Tech water, though. I scrolled down through their QB, like who played snaps each year. It's 6 guys. Like they are consistently always. There's something in that water, but they kind of put up all the same statistical results. Nothing different. Just one song, Jameson. Just one song.
Well, you'll be happy to know that I'm picking BYU here, just because honestly, I understand our thought processes might be a little bit different, but I just can't take the chance. Just what my eye test showed me, Jake Strong ain't it. 3 interceptions. That was a miserable play. Give me BYU here.
Now, I'm going to credit that performance to Kansas State last week, who I was all over.
Snip, snap.
So, yeah, I mean, that's not snip, snap. I have a model, Jameson. I told you about the model. The model is fade the new teams every single time. And that's what I'm going to do. Tech minus 4.5 is a play. It's cold. It is just what I got to do because until one of these teams shows me that they can beat an actual incumbent Big 12 team one, West Virginia barely counts. No offense. Like they just don't feel. They don't feel right.
That
Two, it
is
was on a
bad
last.
take.
It's a last minute Hail Mary.
We were just talking about West Virginia.
West Virginia is
being
also
like a
new
top
Big 12.
3 team in the Big 12
Yeah.
like a week ago.
They're not top 3.
Yeah, but there was talks. We were talking about it.
Yeah,
No, there were talks.
There were talks. There were
it was-
definitely talks.
It was a
Bobby.
good win. It was a good win.
I mean, there was
It
a big
good win.
drop between 1 and 2 in West Virginia, but
Right.
Yeah,
There
is.
Well,
Yes.
but there's got to be a 3, right?
Right, but like I think we can
Who
still
is
agree.
the
Houston.
it's still
think-
West Virginia.
I kind of think it's Iowa State. Iowa State.
God!
Iowa State. Iowa State might be the third best team in the Big 12. I'm not kidding you, man. I don't know how. I don't know why. I actually think Iowa State might be the third best team in the Big 12.
Oh
I think
my
that just
God.
shows that the Big 12 is absolute cheeks. Like
Blake is
No,
this
no.
the shield is a shambles, man.
Oh,
It is
No, it's
a
not a shambles.
disaster.
It would have been, honestly, if OU and Texas would leave, this would be the most fun season. We would not know who it would be 1 and 2. Like,
You
that's
just
what you
want
want as a
fun.
conference race.
You want disaster. You wanted like
Yes,
a mess.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We're the adults here trying to keep everyone together.
No,
And
because you just like your clean cut. You like your same 4 teams in the playoff each year. That's your version of college football. I like a bigger brand. Incorporate the full 128. That's how I've always been. But I know my
Blake wants the Big
Blake-
12 to be a group of 5. He wants it to just be unranked teams.
no.
His
I
favorite-
like
his
parity.
favorite,
I like
his
parity.
favorite conference is the Mountain West. He just wants the Big 12 to be the Mountain West.
We
Like,
let
I
one
like
Mountain
parity.
West person in, TCU, and now they've just turned it into the Mountain West 2.0.
There you go. Anyways,
Some of the best football on TV to watch.
I like the Mountain West. I'm fading the hell out of BYU though. Tech -4.5. Just the model. Like
This is hard because I took that really hard, strong line stance on Tech, but BYU's cheeks. They are cheeks. It's whenever you allow Cincinnati to like run and just pass all over your defense, that's bad. That's bad. I got burnt by the Emory Jones believer. Not even a believer, just like he's enough of a substitute that he can get you there. He's that dupe. He's that whenever the white girls talk about, oh, you need that dupe, like he is. The Emory Jones is that guy. You think he's a good quarterback. You think he's that 90% off version of what
You gotta
you think.
explain that to everybody because
I don't
Because it's like the Amazon. It's like all the stuff that white women love. They love their like different clothes and stuff.
Why are you
But they go on
specifying?
Amazon and buy something 90% off. And I thought Emory Jones would be something better than that, but no, he isn't. He is the dupe, and it's not even it's the one you send back. It's a Sheen product that, as all of our women listeners will love, he's the Sheen product. It's horrible quality. You might think it's hot at the time. You might think it's in style, but it isn't. Emory Jones sucks, and he was running all over this BYU team. I'm taking Tech. I know because I know their quarterbacks are the same throughout the entire 10, 12 that have started in the last 3 years. I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get about 60% completion rate. I'm going to get a few rushing yards, about 250 pass yards, and they're going to win the ball game. So give me Tech. Tech.
I mean, look, I'm with you, but like, can we talk about how we talk so much about Texas Tech and not how about like BYU just came off a 44-11 cheek clapping
Because
last
that
week?
is we're not getting to it yet, but there is a dam that is holding back everything. That is fantastic. And now we're launching into it.
Let's get into it, Blake. Let's get into it, Blake. The TCU Horned Frogs, your guy Hoover brought them back to life. They're 4-3, 3-4 against the spread, heading to Manhattan. It's a Big 12 championship rematch. K-State 4-2 against the spread as well. Wildcats favored by 6.5. Combine this one 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. Blake, who do you like here?
Yeah, Bobby was talking about how have fun with your 11 a.m. games, but I see the start time. Might need to put on my glasses. It's a nice little prime time 6 p.m. action on the sheep feeders themselves, ESPN. This game represents the best of what the Big 12 is going to be. We get 2 freshmen. We got Avery Johnson on the one hand. This man can run the ball for K-State. He is electric. I saw the future in him come that Texas Tech game. He rocks. He is awesome. That's the best thing I've ever said about Kansas State. I'm not a big Kansas State guy. Hate them so much, but Avery Johnson is that future. The long hair, the runs. He can't pass worth anything. I'm seeing some Colin Klein in him. And then I get to the other side. The future. The best TCU quarterback to ever play is Chandler Morris's backup, Josh Hoover. It happened last year. It happened this year. I thought we were dead on the season, but I finally get something to hope and wish for. And that is this glorious, glorious man. That is the Hoover Dam. That is the vacuum that is sweeping up the competition that comes before him. This is going to be an electric matchup. A man that loves to run. A man that just is a gunslinger. A Josh Allen incarnate. Does not care. I love me some arm punts. I've always been a proponent on it on the weekend spread. If your guy is not throwing interceptions, he is not taking risk. He is not trying to do explosive plays. He isn't doing crap. He is playing it safe. I like a guy that's going out there for the explosive play, trying to win you football games. 6.5, way too many points. This game is going to be close. It's going to be 2 Titans out there on the football field battling. Get Will Howard out of my face. Senior, I don't care. Kansas State fans, you should be cheering for Avery Johnson. This is going to be a clash of the Titans, new Big 12 action. You should be looking forward to this. This is going to be the next 4 years. I'm telling you, this quarterback matchup, it's going to be an all-time classic. Give me the Hoover Dam. Give me the vacuum cleaner. TCU is back, baby. The deep ball is back at the Carter. It's feeling good. That's the great thing about this is like our season was over. Our season was, but then we get the future. We get the future there. Josh Hoover, this guy's gunslinger. Gunslinger, give me the Frogs.
Okay, here's my thing. The Hoover
What is
Dam,
your thing, Bobby? What's your thing?
The Hoover Dam might be back at the Carter, but on the road in a tough environment, like family,
tough environment.
Bills, you've never been to. You got to understand. Manhattan, Kansas is a bumping environment, especially at 6 p.m. Those people go nuts, man. And for a game like this, where K-State, isn't quite what they, used to be, but like they can still bring it at home, especially. I feel like I'm not sold on this TCU team yet. I like we saw a great performance from Hoover against a BYU team that, again, like I have said, we should fade the hell out of. We should fade the hell out of all of these new teams because they look god awful.
It was 33 points, Bobby. 33 points. It's not like we just barely beat them.
Right. No, I give TCU credit for beating BYU at home, but I also think these teams are bad. I'm riding with Kansas State 6.5 here. No. I think. Well,
this is just classic OU fan. Y'all don't have a guy that can push the ball down the field. You're used to those Dylan Gabriel 8-yard passes through the middle. I understand.
Hoover has played one game. Hoover's played one game. And you know what deep balls do for you on the road? They get you beat.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I mean,
Josh Allen has done a great job at the Buffalo Bills in the NFL.
You're comparing Hoover to Josh Allen?
Yes, dude, I love a guy that can pump the ball down the field.
Okay, sure. All right, look,
Anthony Calandria at UVA was keeping them in games early this year he has nothing besides pumping the ball.
How did Hoover do in Ames? How did Hoover do in Ames when he came in as a reliever?
He was in for 1 quarter.
1 quarter? Okay, still.
And we actually came back. We were actually playing a lot better. All
right, to Iowa State, who, okay, I'm out. I don't believe. I'm saying third in the Big 12, but I'm like, third in the Big 12, but I got laughed out of the room when I said that they were probably third.
That.
They might be, dude, for real. I'm not insane. I kind of think Iowa State might be. Who's third? Who's third then, Jameson?
I would consider Kansas State over them. I would consider Kansas even after the Oklahoma State game. I'd consider them over them. I consider West Virginia over them. That's just off the top of my head.
Oh, the fact
right
that
off the
TCU
bat.
isn't in there with the
So-
most recent JP poll being the
You're
third.
citing the Pate poll? How far
Yeah.
have you fallen, Blake? How far have the mighty fallen?
You couldn't even
Like, you're
say the
citing-
word Josh Pate.
You're
You had to say
citing
JP.
Josh Pate. No. Yeah, K-State all the way.
it's more
I'm all in.
disgusting because
Lock
that's
it,
what
6.5 Wildcats. Oh man, Blake, I'm disgusted with you. You're grasping at
Well,
straws,
JP
my friend.
Hey, as Josh Pate tells me every single week, the JP poll is just a computer model that he is putting out, and it's definitely just the computer that is doing it. So I feel very good if I'm like the rest of the college football fan base and believe in his stuff. Like, he's gonna lead me to the promised land. So
K-State minus 6.5. Jameson, what do you think?
So if y'all recall last week, I saw this coming from a mile away. This was so simple. Blake was so down on himself. And I was like, you know what? Hoover's going to come in. He's going to think he's like the next big thing. And he's going to completely overreact. I can just see it. Now I'm looking to the future again. I can see it again. Hoover's going to struggle. And it's just
no.
and Blake's not going to have a good time. There's going to be crickets. There's going to be absolute crickets in our group text. Give me Kansas State big here.
Let me tell y'all what. First, I need to start with, I do kind of see what Blake's saying about the Big 12 based on the fact that you cannot answer. Like, we laughed at Bobby for the Iowa State thing, but you
Yes.
legitimately cannot answer the question, who is the number 3 team in the Big 12, without it just being a ridiculously cold take. And that is kind of hilarious.
I think
Like,
Kansas
any
State's
team,
number 3.
there is no good answer to that, which is genuinely hilarious. I obviously will get a good answer later in the season, but the other thing you gotta know is I talked about how strong islands have been this year on the podcast, but do you know what has been even stronger than islands? Blake knows what's been even stronger than islands. What's been even stronger than islands is when we get the rare 50-50 split where Blake and I are on the same
Yep.
side. That's not going to happen this week. Give me K-State.
Island
you
frog.
dummies. I cannot wait for us to bring the deep ball to Norman, Oklahoma. They will not even know what it is. They're like, you can throw the ball past 20 yards? What is this?
please,
You're not supposed to do this. Brent Venables is going to be calling for flags whenever this is happening.
I will take the L here, please. Please let the Hoover deep ball continue to work so that TCU tries to bring that against OU secondary. I would.
Oh,
love that.
I would gladly take it. I will gladly take it. The Hoover deep ball. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay, man.
Oh my gosh.
Weren't you complaining that you had like no speed in your wide receiver room?
It doesn't matter. Hoover is the difference. Honestly, honestly, the elite guy in our wide receiver room right now, JP Richardson, that man, him and Hoover have a connection, a Tom Brady, Julian Edelman type connection there. He's running those nice 25-yard routes across the middle. Ooh, baby, give it to me. Give it to me. Oh, put me on that island. Give it to me. This is just a classic ball not knower. You did not watch the game last week, so
It was BYU.
I know it was going on during the Oregon-Washington game, and I know all y'all were tuned into that, but hey, Big 12 co-offensive player of the week. I don't know who the other co is, but Josh Hoover, baby. The Hoover vacuum sweeping up the competition.
Donovan. Please tell me.
Oh my gosh.
No.
No. It's probably the running back out of Oklahoma State, honestly. Ollie Gordon, who should have been Ollie Gordon. Who should have been just straight up Ollie Gordon. That was kind of BS.
What? I don't think you realize the performance that.
You
Did
can't
you
have
see what
four
Ollie? Did you see what Ollie?
touchdowns.
Did you see
You
what
can't
Ollie
have
Gordon
4
did?
touchdowns, 2
Yeah,
interceptions.
they won by 7. We won by 33.
I'm just looking at the numbers, Blake. Anyways,
I am
move.
too.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next ball game. We've got the 8th ranked Texas Longhorns, 5-1 overall, 3-3 against the spread, bouncing back after a Red River defeat, heading to Houston to take on the Cougars, 3-3 overall and against the spread. Horns favored by 23.5. You can find this one 3 p.m. Central on Fox. Ty, kick us off here. Who do you like?
We're going long on time, so I'm going to keep it short. There's one thing you should do. If you're watching this game, just remember to just keep living. Give me the Texas Longhorns. I am all on the Texas train. We need them to continue to dominate the rest of the bums that are in this conference that we're trying to get out of. We're going to make it out the Big 12 together. Give me the Horns. I think this is an easy one, right? Recovering from a bye week. Texas is not bad, right? I'm not trying to gas up Texas here, but I am genuinely, I'm a little worried about Texas going into the Big 12 championship game. I think we can beat them. We're not going to put the cart in front of the horse, though. Give me the Horns in this one. I think they get the cover. It's a very, very big line at 23.5. It's got a hook on it. I think Texas will easily win. I don't know that they will easily cover just because it's so big. Not that they're going to struggle, to cover. It's a lot of points to cover. Give me Texas. I said I'd be short, and then I started going.
Here's the real thing. Houston, absolutely, you're right, Ty. There's some bumps. They truly are. In that game last week, meant nothing to me.
They're bums with cars, though, because they commute.
Yes, that's exactly right. So good for them. But that Hail Mary doesn't mean anything to me. It was an anomaly. It was a fluke. It was stupid. Doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to bat an eye at you, Dana. If you want me to eat some of your tears instead of me eating your tears, that ain't going to happen. No jinx in here. Absolutely no chance that Texas is going to allow me to jinx myself. Texas by 28.
Yeah, I mean, this is simple. Texas suffered a really, really tough defeat last time out, and they're facing an absolute just cupcake of an opponent in their home state. They will absolutely pack the house here. Longhorns big here in Houston. Give me the Horns.
Put them up, Bobby. Horns up to the sky.
Put them up, Bobby. Put them up, Bobby.
No. Like
Texas. It's Texas all the way. This Houston team sucks. They had their Super Bowl last week. Dana Holgorsen keeps his job for one more. It's Texas. So
give them to me, Blake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Where did that come from? What in the world? StreamYard. That's wild. Where did that come? Seriously, who genuinely who did that?
I don't know.
Wait, Blake, did you do that?
No, I didn't. I did not. I don't know. I did not.
It only showed up in your little quadrant. So very weird.
Did something.
Okay, we're moving on to our next game. It's a game that, all of these games, whatever, throw them out the window. None of them matter, but this one does. It's a Central Florida Golden Knights, 3-3 overall, 2-4 against the spread, heading to face the Oklahoma Sooners for the very first time, ranked number 6 in the country. It is so good to see a single digit these days, folks. Sooners, 6-0. 6-0, 5-1 against the spread. Favored by 19 here. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. Yeah, whatever. Ha ha ha. Blake, who do you like in this one?
John Rice Plumlee is going to play for UCF. Give me OU.
Yeah, I am not super impressed with any of these teams. And again, I have a model. I think any of the new teams, not either of these teams. I'm obviously impressed with OU. I'm not trying to be that much of a
That would
hard
actually be a good take, Bobby, to be like actually meter your expectations of your team that won one game this year.
Actually, OU are bums. We haven't done anything. No, I think OU, like a lot of people make a big deal about the Red River hangover, but genuinely hasn't existed since the Switzer era ended. It's not a thing anymore. I think OU with the bye week, they seem focused. This team is different overall. I think they come out and they just blow out a UCF team that just has not been very good. Welcome to the big show, boys. Sooners by 19.
Let me take you on a journey of what's going to happen in this game, Blake, and I want you to open up those ears and listen. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to win the toss. We're going to defer, and we're going to kick off the ball to UCF. John Rice Plumlee is going to lead a 75-yard touchdown drive right off at the beginning. We're going to start shaking in our boots. Us OU fans are going to be like, oh no, what happened? We're going to start to get really nervous. And thankfully, we will claw our ways back with some good defensive plays and make John Rice Plumlee look like the bum that he truly is. I know we're using bum a lot here. I guess I'm just stuck on that word. But let me tell you something. There's going to be a drive where John Rice Plumlee is going to look really good. And us OU fans, we're going to start to get scared a little bit. It will happen. I'm just preparing everyone for that. But I think that we will recover, and our secondary is going to give him a lot of issues. Get ready for turnovers, more interception.
He doesn't pass the ball. That's the thing. He does not.
He's going to have to. He's going to have to. Let's give me OU minus 19 with the cover occurring at the 10-minute mark in the fourth quarter.
Oh, this would be. I will say, just add this in. This would be the funniest game for OU to lose. It truly.
Yeah,
would.
It would.
Like even more.
It would,
because I think we're all kind of in lockstep key into UCF or Central Florida as a whole bunch of bums, especially with John Rice Plumlee as the quarterback. It would be the funniest. We would all be eating crow. And now Ty's about to choose UCF. So.
This would by far be the funniest game for OU to lose. By far. Yes. I think, and that absolutely would be the funniest.
Like even more than TCU, I think, because I think one of us, like Ty, would be like, I like the Sooners, but TCU is kind of feisty and would choose them. Like this one is.
It's the timing. Comedy is about timing. This would. Like right after Texas, it would be hilarious losing to a team that hasn't won a Big 12 game yet. So, yeah. Ty, I'm sorry.
We've just witnessed the most elaborate set of attempted self-jinx to cover. I don't even know what you guys were doing there.
Hedge.
Get you guys out of the kitchen. Yeah, y'all were in there cooking. I don't know what. Get out of the kitchen. I will never. Now, I've been high on Central Florida. I think I had them highest in my Big 12 previews, but I just cannot in good conscience pick Central Florida, that especially when they're wearing their blue outfits, because they don't understand that space is not blue because they've never been there.
Not this one. Although they could. They could surprise us all.
They're playing them versus Oklahoma State.
Okay, well, I was a bit confused about. Oh, you know what? Y'all sent the headline and it said Oklahoma State. I think I misread that.
The eyes see what the eyes want to see.
Take there. But no, look, I'm just not. I cannot pick Central Florida. I support them as a team. Right? I like the new money. They've worked their way up from their bootstraps to get to where they are. What they have done in the past 20 years in terms of a football program, I think you really have to. TCU may be up there if you make that argument, but TCU was never in the depths that Central Florida was. What they've done as a program, absolutely unremarkable. And then the disgusting thing is they have such a cool history. They had literal medieval times come and perform at their pregames and their halftimes and all sorts of stuff. And then they just lose their mind over this made-up space narrative that just doesn't exist. They try to support it with honorary degrees for Bill Clinton and stuff like that. He's not an astronaut. I checked 4 times. And it's just, I cannot support that. Give me the Sooners on this one. I don't want to jinx us, but it's things are clicking for us. And I feel like OU fans just have this scar from the Lincoln Riley era of what we just saw with, USC. And it's just Brent Venables, he gets his guys to perform in these games. Give me the Sooners in this one. Might not look easy, might not look simple, but yeah, I think our defense is really solid. I think John Rice Plumlee is just the second coming of Emory Jones. Yeah, we saw what happened with that. So give me the Sooners in this one.
I like it. And I will say, last note on UCF before we never talk about them on the rest of the podcast forever, because we're leaving the podcast, we're leaving the conference, and UCF is going to be irrelevant. We're not leaving.
We're leaving.
Hey, they
We're
can
leaving.
still- I was promised a Big 12 SEC mixture of games.
So we're still working on the composure that I think initially my idea is every Oklahoma team and every Texas team from the Big 12 and the SEC, and then the random ones, So we'll just pick more A&M, and other than that, it's just and maybe throw in Arkansas. I don't know. We'll take a look at it all, like the whole composite. This is behind the scenes podcast planning here. We have a whole off season to figure that out, but it'll definitely involve a lot of Big 12 talk. So we're not abandoning the Big 12 as much as Blake likes to say it because it's funny. We definitely not.
Last week you completely switched up our 3 or 4 year long flow of the slate to feature the Big 12 game just to get them out done so we can talk about the other ones. So.
Look, it's a pretty flexible deal. And look, that Big 12 slate was bad. That slate was bad, man. At some point you have to evolve your production and be like, we're not going to talk about these.
But yet
games.
on that slate, the Big 12 player of the week played in those games, or I guess both.
We talked about every Big 12 game. Of course, there's the Big 12 player of the week. How would we not talk about them? We literally talked about every Big 12 game. You can't have a Big 12. You can't have a Big 12 player of the week that does not play in the Big 12. And we talked about every game. That argument makes no sense. All I will say about
an argument. I just said a fact. I said a simple fact. That set you off.
You're the one that got all defensive, Bobby. I'm on your side here, but I do want to say
that's just like saying oh well, every Big 12 a Big 12 team won every game we picked that featured a Big 12 team. Yeah, that is a fact, but
yeah.
Anyways,
I didn't say it wasn't.
We're running late.
I gotta agree with Blake on this one.
Okay, well, whatever. All I want to say is UCF should still be the Citronauts. The Citronauts is a way cooler name, and they should go back to that. The Golden Knights, bum name, bad name.
See, the Golden Knights makes more sense because their whole thing is medieval, and it's like they can't pick one. They abandoned the Citronaut thing, and then now they're trying to go all in on the space thing.
But somebody the size of
name and branding to the medieval thing.
They picked the wrong one.
Just Ty, I'm gonna say this in defense of whatever Bobby's about to say. The Citronaut, the size of it probably could not make it up into space, which is very fitting for the UCF. Somebody the size that's the same density as an orange, round with a helmet, probably cannot pass any tests to get up into space. So I will say if actual Citronaut were trying to go to space, very round, probably not going to get there.
Fair enough.
Would you consider
they probably would not.
Because it's so hard. We're already so far over time. Blake, because an orange is so hard on the outside compared to the inside. Would you consider it like an exoskeletal structure?
It could possibly.
Humans are hard on the outside and soft on the inside.
But I feel like those all those seatbelts and stuff that are fitted in all the rockets and all that jazz could not fit around a body that was the size of an orange. So
hang on, Jameson.
Send Mark Mangino to space.
Yes, if we really want to test this theory, Mark Mangino is our perfect specimen.
Elon Musk, you hear it? Elon Musk, hey, look, we're broadcasting this on Twitter too. You hear us, buddy? Send Mangino to space.
As you say Twitter instead of X. You just immediately lost her.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. No. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't updated my app yet. I have refused to update it. It's still Twitter. It still has a bird everywhere. Well, anyways, let's move on to our favorite. Well, screw him, man. Let's move on to our favorite pick of the week.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes. Wild card, bitches. Yeah! What? Oh, God! Brakes, guys! I can't stop this fast.
It's time for our wild card picks. Ty, you kick us off here as you are unfortunately fourth. Who do you like?
Here's the thing about wild cards, right? I always get so much crap for not doing great on wild cards. but we pick big lines. We pick big lines, big brands.
No,
Last week, we had a really, really good one. We had a really good one locked in the chamber. And then Jameson went on some sort of weird rant about how he can't order the same food as someone as at a restaurant or something like that. And then he justified picking my wild card instead of the one that he planned for because something about what he likes to order at restaurants. And then I went on kind of a segment about Old Bay seasoning. And then we both picked Maryland. Both food-related picks for Maryland. That didn't work out.
They lost.
Here's what I
straight up as 14-point favorites because Ty had to come in and
that was my primary wild card.
Well, you should have changed. I ordered the Old Bay wings, and you should have changed. I'm sorry, I was still.
I have like 4 options, like right now, Ty. Like you have to have your options.
I had options too. I didn't. They weren't good. I wasn't going to change from my best one.
But,
obviously, wasn't.
Well, have options if you're just going to go with the first one.
Okay. It was my second one because I didn't pay attention to the slate, and then my first one ended up just being on the slate. And you know what? That one didn't hit either. So, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to learn my lesson with Miami. They're like non-entertaining Texas State. With all that being said, what I love in terms of picking, the University of Miami and Texas State could not be more different. In terms of picking, I like big lines. We're talking a 4-point, well, more than 4, at least 4-point game line, over 21-point line, Power 5 on Power 5, in conference, in state rivalry. You got to do it. One thing I love, kicking teams while they're down. Michigan State is down, and they are 24.5-point dogs against Michigan. Michigan, I've been slow to get on the Michigan train. I think they're fairly legit. I like this one. I was going to go, originally I was kind of looking at Arizona State, Washington. Washington favored by 26.5. I just feel like there's so much potential for ASU to get the cover there just barely. But I am very confident in this Michigan team. This Michigan State team has just put up nothing. Ironically, they're undefeated against teams from Michigan. But that was Central Michigan. They put up a stinker against Rutgers, Iowa, Maryland, Washington. We'll excuse that one. But I think Michigan has at least 28 in this one. Give me the Wolverines.
I looked at that one, Ty. I really did. Glad we are not coming up with the same answer here. But if you know anything about me, you could probably look at this slate and figure out what I'm going with. And
LSU.
If you know me, you just take a trip with me out to the desert. UNLV playing Colorado. I'm kidding, Blake. I just saw his eyebrows go. Because I know Blake wants to put UNLV Colorado State so bad. So bad. There's just a lot of things going on there in terms of his money and his allegiance, but I'm staying away. I'm just messing with you. I picked for spite, and y'all know that. I tried to be a little too fancy last week. No, we picked for spite. And guess what? Illinois, you're on my shit list now. Congratulations, and it's not your fault. Oh, that looks like a beautiful pickle you got up there, Ty. But let me tell you something. Illinois, you did it to me. You really did it. You're not that good. You beat Maryland. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. I think it was all Ty's fault. So give me Wisconsin minus 2.5 going on the road to Illinois and just swat you right upside the face. I don't believe in anything that you're putting forth this season. Just wait till it happens.
Wow. Very spiteful play. Very spiteful play. It is Brett Bielema going up against his former team. I will say that. You never know. You're going to get burnt once. You might be burnt again. I suppose. I don't know.
No, good. I like this.
Man. Look, I'm looking at my options and it's tricky. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with a team that we've kind of forgotten about because they lost to start the season. They lost their other big game, but everyone's forgetting about little old Clemson. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. They're going on the road to Miami, who is not a great team. And I think we can all agree on that. Clemson -4. Love that as my pick. So we're going with the Tigers and Dabo.
Has anyone ever seen Bielema and Greg Schiano in the same room?
They look
Unfortunately,
entirely
not.
different.
They're
I
very
feel
different.
like at Big Ten
Debatable.
Media Days they took a picture together, so I will say yes.
Bielema looks like Shiano wearing a fat suit. But anyways,
I think they both get red very easily.
Could have been a body double. That's why they look different to you guys.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm gonna go with here. There's many considerations. I was not actually gonna choose the desert versus Colorado State. There's too much writing on that. Just personal bias. Not gonna choose it. Other one, Bobby's talking about we choose every Big 12 game. We did not choose Baylor Cincinnati this game. That game's interesting because I
That's
hate
gross.
Cincinnati. It's so
Keyword's
gross. That would have
big.
been honestly a great one. But give me
3.5,
Miami.
right?
Yeah, 3.5. Give me Miami plus the 4. Give me Miami plus the 4. I'm kind of mad
we're
at
going
Bobby
up.
this game.
We're going
Yeah,
up.
Bobby's just kind of been
Yeah.
fighting me this entire podcast. I don't like his energy down there. So
Okay.
it makes it easy. I was gonna go
Cool,
against one
man.
of y'all. I felt like in the end of it, but it makes it even perfect that it's Bobby because Bobby's just been kind of hating on everything. He's been hating on the Shield. Let's just go out there and get in this weekend. +4 Miami at home. That is a easy one. I like to root against Bobby because Bobby doesn't like my conference. So yeah, I will take
our conference for the time being. But
Yeah, sure.
Mr.
Mister, we pick all the Big 12 games,
Look,
and I
we
found one that we did not pick. We did not pick on this slate. So
okay.
and,
So
the Big 12
tell me.
offensive players-
But tell me which Big 12 game, or sorry, which non-conference game was better than Baylor Cincy? Tennessee, Alabama, Duke, Florida State, Utah, and USC, and then Penn State, Ohio State. Who was I going to leave out?
Yeah, this is a classic ESPN
Come on.
mindset. You gotta disregard everybody that doesn't have a little number by their name, and college football doesn't matter if
Baylor
it
and
doesn't.
Cincy, they're two bums. They're horrible.
Which makes a great pick compared to some of the other ones that we're doing at the beginning of this, where
Pot agreed.
we're all
Do it.
choosing
Do it.
the
Do it.
same. And
Pot agreed it. Do it. I dare you. Pot agreed.
no, what? No, I'm not gonna allow your little feeble mindset to trigger my pot of greed. So give me
My feeble
Miami plus the 4. So
My feeble mindset is not picking Miami and Cincinnati, two teams who are absolutely atrocious.
James,
I have a
Jameson?
question. The past couple episodes, at the end, I look at my picks, and then every once in a while, I'll look at them, and I get this bad feeling in my stomach that I don't like, and I feel like I've been 0 for 3 on those picks, and I want to use my mulligan. Can you use it at the end of the episode?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Valid
can
throughout
mulligan.
the episode.
I don't like the vibes. Whenever I was talking about the press conference, talking about Riley Leonard, I just don't like the vibes, even if he is at that 3-week mark. I'm just thinking about college players and how they're different than NFL players. I want to switch to Florida State.
Okay.
Boo.
That is the latest
Boo.
mulligan of all
Yeah.
time, but I appreciate it. So Jameson on the Seminoles here. So he has flipped. Okay. Well, last call for pot of greeds.
Oh yeah, Bobby's doing.
I
that.
save it. I
Yeah.
save it.
No takers, no takers. That's fine.
His
That's fine.
feeble mindset.
You never saw this
Feeble,
coming.
feeble.
Ty, you've already used yours. You and I both have. All right.
Ty
so
pops
let's.
off a little too early.
Well,
I know I hit
There's
my pot agreed. So it
he hit. If you
It's a
hit
hit.
yours, you're good. You're like the rest of
Yeah.
the season. You're
doesn't
like,
matter
you
when
can
it's
be.
played.
Yeah, because you have your one. And that's what matters. But hey, everyone. who
Hey, I've
listened
got a
live-
question also.
What's
How
that,
is
Jameson?
Todd? Well, the math isn't adding up right now for my picks. I realize
Yeah, I shouldn't
that
have 2 more losses than James.
I'm 37-40, Ty's 37-42, and then the math isn't adding up.
I'll hit the lab and make sure we got it right, because notoriously I do these late Saturday nights when I'm at like Halloween parties or various other occasions, and sometimes the math is bad. So my apologies, but look, it'll be right by the end of the season. So
Okay, I'm gonna do it too.
What's going on here?
No, I should be 41.
Why?
I have
No.
41.
What? Why is there just like a random? Why is there a random beer? Why is there a random beer bat? That is not me. Everybody has producer like.
Blake has
privileges.
been up to something.
Somebody
I think Jameson might be an actual
No.
last.
Yeah, no, somebody just decided to randomly show the beer bat, and I don't really know why.
This is Blake and his little
Oh.
laser light show and
What?
stuff he's been doing.
Okay, this is getting weird. This is that was like a slideshow from Blake and I's Big 12 baseball championship food show from like May. So I don't know how that showed up. Anyways,
Got Big 12 on the mind, Bobby?
Dude, always think about the Shield and those, the Wabash Cannon Dog, man. It's always on my brain. So,
Bobby, have you used your pot of greed yet?
yeah. I used it on Boko.
Okay. So Ty should be 37 and 41, not 37 and 42. It's correct in the thing. And Blake is 42 and 35. You are 40 and 38. I'm 37 and 40. So you just gave an extra loss for poor Ty.
Yeah, that's just a bad graphic issue on my end then, because
Ty, you're still in last. Don't worry.
Yeah, so it is a little bit narrow down there. My bad. Look, better than the issues I had last week, so I'll give myself that.
No, we're good. We're good. We figured it out.
Yeah, we're good. I love how we added this onto the podcast. Just like
all right, we need to cut this off. I am so sorry for the people having to listen to this.
Yep.
Good luck out there.
Yep. Thanks for listening to the Weekend Spread. Make sure to like, subscribe, all these things to do to support the podcast. We always appreciate your time listening. And if you're still here listening after all of that garbage, wow, we really, really love you. You did great. Thank you so much. But for me, Jameson, Ty, and Bowden Blake, this has been the Weekend Spread. We'll see you next week. Good luck out there, everybody.